we will start our session. So good morning to everyone joining us and welcome to our Heroes of Manufacturing webinar. Now, at the Heroes Foundation, we connect youth with industry leaders and experts who want to share their insights and their expertise so that our future generation can go beyond where we are at today. Now, we are extremely lucky to have with us today Ms. Franca Costello, who is the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, and also the director of Lifetime Roofing. We also have Mr. Roger Roach, who is the founder and managing director of Lazuri Apparel Limited. Now, Ms. Costello is a champion for the production and the export of local goods and services. She is leading the charge as the TTMA helps our local manufacturers access global markets and take that proudly TNT brand all over the world. This is not only important for the businesses, but also very important for our overall economy and really for the livelihood of every single citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Roach is a very strategic and creative entrepreneur, manufacturer, and businessman. Now, he understands the need for building a culture of consistent improvements within organizations and operations, and his story will bring us insight into how businesses can leverage technology and digitization to pivot, even with the challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. So as we go along, please feel free to put your comments into the chat box, and we will include your questions in the discussion as we progress. So it is my absolute pleasure now to hand you over to Ms. Costello, who will take us through this amazing world of manufacturing and help us see how you can find your place within it.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you guys, and I really wish that we could have done this presentation in person. It's always more fun to interact, and then we can always give you guys some gifts as well. But unfortunately, with COVID-19, this is a new world for us and probably will be for a while too. The nice thing about it is that it makes the conversations more fluid, more accessible, and we get to talk to more of you guys as well. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation side of this whole segment. So allow me to share my screen and start my presentation. Let's see. Okay, are you guys seeing this? Lawrence, can you see the presentation? Is it coming up?
Yep.
Yeah.
And is it in presentation mode as well?
Yeah.
Is it in presentation mode too?
Not in
It is not. We are just seeing we are seeing the slides.
Okay, so view, present, right. There we go, right?
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Okay, great. So our first slide, what I'm going to talk to you guys today about is what is manufacturing, who are manufacturers. I'm going to talk to you about the regional trade side because market share is a lot more than just domestic. What is our focus on in the future and what you can do as our up and coming business leaders. So to give a good idea of what manufacturing looks like for us, employment is huge. Manufacturing employs 10% of our population in Trinidad, and that is 52,300 employees, 10% of our working population, I should say. So in the small business group, we have 5,200 employees, in the medium 1,900, and in the large 45,000 persons work. You'll hear a lot of times that people refer to the SMEs. That is the small, medium enterprise businesses. And they are so important because they really make up the bulk of our manufacturers. There are 1,014 manufacturers in Trinidad and Tobago. And of that, 814 are categorized as small and 76 as medium, and 124 as large. So as you can see, even though the large have the majority of the employees, the majority of businesses sit with the SMEs, and the SMEs are so important for turning our economy, and it's where every businessman starts as well. And I will give you some examples of that. The manufacturing industry exports $3.6 billion. So that's a massive figure as well in contribution. Our GDP contribution is 19% of the economy, and that is 30 billion. So no doubt we are important for the livelihood of Trinidad and Tobago. But before we can truly get a sense of what manufacturing is, I want to share a video with you guys so that you can get to the core of what a manufacturer, and I will share segments of this video as we go through our presentation.
Welcome to Lifetime Solutions.
Thank you very much.
So we've got 4 main product lines as far as roofing goes. Our decorative tiles, we've got our corrugated, our standing seam, and our arc-hardening profiles. We don't just manufacture roofs. We also offer a turnkey experience where we can project manage and install your roof for you.
Look, you guys do a really good job to ensure that people of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean are covered.
We certainly do our best, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so back to our presentation. What you're going to see with that video is the progress of a project from start to completion on a special project that Lifetime Roofing teamed up with Andrew Lewis on. You may recognize Andrew Lewis. He's our Olympic sailor for Trinidad and Tobago. So what is manufacturing? Manufacturing is truly about taking raw material from one end and processing it through a machinery or whole process to have a completed good. When we talk about manufacturing, we think about economies of scale and how we could make that product for less, but by adding value into it. So manufacturing is a value-adding process, allowing businesses to sell finished products at a higher cost or the value of the raw materials used. And it is often reported on by the Conference Board and is examined by economists. In Trinidad, we have 2 types of manufacturing industries. We have the downstream industry and we have the light industrial commercial sector. The light industrial commercial sector is 9% that makes up about 9.3 billion, and the downstream petrochemical sector is 20, makes up 10%, which is 20.7 billion. When we talk about manufacturing, we have to always consider all of the environment that surrounds manufacturing and what it takes to be a manufacturer. It's a complete ecosystem that involves persons and businesses that do not necessarily manufacture a given product, but are essential to the process. And with that, we're talking about logistics, shippers and transporters, banks and accountants, labs and testing agencies that certify our products to be safe for distribution and also for export. There are some key pillars when we consider at TTMA the manufacturing industry that makes us competitive globally. And being competitive globally is very important, so we can make sure that our products are being priced competitively against our regional partners in Barbados, Grenada, Guyana, and even the US. So we consider our labor, our capital, our policies and legislation, government programs and taxation and so on, demand, both local and export, supply, how are raw materials coming to us, the infrastructure of where we put down our plants. So these plants could be multi-million-dollar investments, and you want to make sure that where you're putting it down has a solid infrastructure. The technology and innovation, the digital transformation, and e-commerce is so important right now, because that is just how we are getting our work done, considering with the COVID-19 pandemic. So what does our membership look like? Sorry that the slide looks a little distorted there, I'm not sure why. This slide is important so we can appreciate again our small and medium-sized businesses. And our TTMA membership, as I said, is made up of what we call ordinary members and associate members. Our associate members are as important, and it's a little distorted here, but as you can see with the associated in orange, which is on this side with the 176, that would have shown you that we have 33% of our members are associate members. That means that they are not actually manufacturing a product, but they are a member of TTMA because they're very important for us being able to get our work done efficiently and productively. So allow me to show the second video as we go through. I'll show you different series of the videos, which is a nice way of displaying the process of the manufacturing.
At the Angelo Sailing Foundation, we've started Project Bring Smiles. We're here in Lapina Laventil, where we're going to put a roof, windows, and doors thanks to Lifetime Solutions on this house. We cannot be successful unless we all come together.
You know, I've done hundreds of these projects, but every once in a while you get a project that stands out that you really look forward to contributing and giving back. Putting a roof over a house provides one of the 4 basic needs, which is shelter. A house is not a home without a roof. I'm looking forward to doing this project.
Okay, so TTMA's goal right now is, well, for the next 5 years, is going to be doubling our exports from 3.5 billion to 7 billion by 2025. And that is quite a formidable goal. It was even before COVID-19, but as you all could imagine, COVID-19 has really impacted the business world. And we talk about revenues being reduced, expenses changing, different types of expenses are coming up. And you'll hear a lot in the news about businesses trying their hardest to maintain employment levels as well, and trying to find new markets to bring their revenue line up. So our strategic plan is based on a number of different things. We have to consider which businesses are best targeted to double that figure, where our new market share is as well that we're going to be focusing on, and how we're going to do this. So we start with segmenting our large, medium, and small businesses to see who is really contributing to this export figure that we so badly want to double. And when we look at it, we recognize that the large sector really holds the bulk of it, except when you add the small, medium, and micro, and you realize that, again, they're really matching that large segment too. So once again, the small, medium, and the micro segment, the entrepreneurs are very important for growing our economy. Our target subsectors, when we analyze, so data is again exceptionally important for us to be able to analyze where we have to focus our attention and what needles we're going to be moving. So in Trinidad, our main manufactured products are foodstuff, food items, paper, beverages, minerals, spirits being alcohol, and others is a big category. The main export markets are the US, Guyana, Jamaica, Grenada, Barbados, St. Lucia, Suriname, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda. So obviously our CARICOM partners are very important to us. in exporting. And our CARICOM partners, when you think of what they're importing from Trinidad and Tobago, you have to ask the question of why. What is that supporting? And the majority of these countries thrive on tourism. So then when you start to hear economic reports about tourism being down in Barbados and Grenada, you start to realize that if there's a lower demand in tourism in Grenada or Barbados, that will affect our business in Trinidad in terms of manufacturing demand. And this all plays into strategic planning for business model, for government policies as well. So this is our goal. This is our TTMA's goal right now that we are leading the charge on. As you can see, 2019 to 2020 certainly is not going in the direction that we had hoped, and that is because of COVID-19's impact. However, we have a plan of how to pick that up for 2021, and we are focused on stabilizing the market to back to the 3.4 billion in 2021. So we have to, a good strategic planning requires you to look at positive and negatives so that you can circumvent your negatives and try to find a way to mitigate around that. So our positives, we recognize that private and public sector are working well together. The Minister of Trade has endorsed our plan. She's put it to Parliament. She is fully in support of it. We see some new opportunities coming up, and the saying goes, don't let a good crisis go to waste, because demand shifts. It doesn't necessarily go away, but there's a change in demand. So you will see a new type, and you guys have probably seen this influx on face masks. Of course, everybody needs a face mask now. So that's a new type of demand. Hand sanitization, that's a new type of demand. There's a digital 4.0 thrust that is happening too. Again, a new type of demand where people are looking for solution providers when it comes to e-commerce, presentation, conference type of sessions like what we're having here now as well. A buy local push. Everybody wants to support one another. By buying locally, you are supporting a business owner, you're supporting jobs as well, you're supporting your own economy as opposed to importing from the US. So some of the negatives that we have to realize so we can plan for it is that 2020 exports, we're expecting it to be declined by about 15%. That means that we have to find 15% more new opportunities to stabilize that decline. And then how our top 20 exporters have been hit pretty hard. And that means that we need to help them boost their new market share as well. Tourism is down, and also there's supply chain disruption, as in that means that raw material coming into the country is being affected either by delivery, it's taking longer, or some of our raw material suppliers have shut down completely due to loss of income. So as I said, our strategy is to stabilize, strengthen, and secure. We are working towards bringing trade levels back to 2020 before COVID, recapturing market share and growing the export. These are outlined, again, a high level outline of where we're putting our efforts. We want to expand our SME growth. We want to look for new markets in CARICOM. We want to increase the domestic revenues from the locally sourced materials. That's our Buy Local campaign. Digital 4.0, we are really pushing for automation, computerized systems and softwares to be put in place. And the ease of doing business. We may have heard about in the news about Minister Imbert talking about how the government is going to be working towards improving the ease of doing business in Trinidad. That means that how he wants it to take less time to get your WASA clearance, less time to get your Tech set up, approvals for building, your driver's license doesn't take as long anymore. Everything in the government agency should be working faster, and that is the goal that they're working towards and we are supporting. Liquidity talks about cash, money, being able to give a new business owner more money so that they can invest in more equipment and more software and expanding their factories so they can produce more. Okay, so now we're going to take a break and go into video 3 as well.
We help each other a lot from this community, but last year something actually happened. The roof came up, and with the force of the weight of the roof, it fell and demolished half of my wooden structure house. During this ordeal, I slept in the room for a few months, actually having to cover myself with a plastic in order not to get wet from rain. Now I just can't wait to have a roof over my head.
Okay, so back to the slides. So in terms of our strategic objective, and I hope you don't mind that I'm going in between these videos and these slides, because, and the point of that is that I want to make sure that when we talk about all these, big wishes and big strategic plans about expanding, enhancing, improving, and strengthening, it's important to always remember and come back to the core of why we are doing this. Manufacturing is really about people. It's about the people who are making the products, the people that we are making the products for, and the employment that this offers. It's about the quality of life that we create in Trinidad, and that is what manufacturing industry really does. It stabilizes an economy. It offers us a stable economy that isn't susceptible to the shocks of energy as we know it. Trinidad can go up and down with. And that's because of the employment that it offers. So again, our strategic objectives are to expand the export growth. We want to enhance our human resource capacity. That means that we want to upskill and uptrain in the digital 4.0. We want to improve our production capacity. That means this factory is built to produce 100 units, but it's only producing 60. We want you to get to 100. And strengthening the administrative and institutional mechanisms, the ease of doing business again, making it just easier to do business in Trinidad, as simple as that. So Industry 4.0. Sometimes people get a little scared that Industry 4.0 means job replacement, but it certainly does not. It means making your job easier and faster to do, making you more productive at it. So, and we've had 3 previous progressions in the Industry 4.0 in Industry Revolution, 1.0, 2, and 3, where we moved to automated production. And in this last progression, it's just about more intelligent production and manufacturing processes. The changing face of manufacturing, it means that it's not the traditional image that you have of manufacturing. Systems are more integrated. It's more about IT and technology, robotics and automation. It's about green energy, the solar panel usage, and how water is also circulated throughout the building. Local, gone global. We have so many of our big manufacturers selling our products abroad. Angostura for sure. Our rum is very well known. Our beer with Carib as well. And all of ABIL's products, associated brands, chocolates are well known on the markets internationally. Chubby, our Chubby from SM Jaleel is well known too. So manufacturing and you, where do the opportunities lie for you? And what are the sectors and the types of jobs? I would always encourage anybody to work in a business first, so that you can learn about the different processes and how management styles work and what type of administrative roles are in there, so that you could get as much experience as possible.
roof is on, the windows are in, the door is on. The home is now ready to move in, and the family can now make a life for themselves again.
You know, it came up as a thought to my boss. And to see that we have to reach here, this structure, and it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, you know, and it's a wonderful thing that you all did for us. And just saying thank to you, thanks to everybody, thanks to Lifetime Solution for help us in such a great way. We are blessed. We are blessed.
So the next few slides are just about closing up. It's a really big topic, manufacturing in Trinidad and the importance of it for our economy, for job opportunity and so on. I am personally very passionate about manufacturing. I get excited about the different processes and making something that either people really want or that they need. So these videos show you roofing, which is my family business that I'm very proud of. And everybody needs a roof over their heads. And it shows the progression of all the different persons that are employed in that process, but then the end user and what it means to them as well, to have a quality product that keeps them secure and safe at night. So my advice to everybody who would be considering a manufacturing career is enjoy your secondary school experience. It sets your foundation. Enjoy the friends and colleagues that you have around you. You will be surprised how they will last with you for your life. Find a mentor and don't be afraid to ask for it. You will be surprised how many people love to be asked to be a mentor and how honored they will be if you ask. Find what you are passionate in. Because if you are passionate about it, you're going to fall in love with it and it's never going to feel like work for you and your creativity is going to blossom. But don't feel badly if you haven't found that as yet. If you haven't found it, you move through the different areas and find that skill that you're good at and hone in on your skill. Your skill is your special gift and you should treasure that and be the best at anything that you do. Always give it your best and start somewhere. It doesn't matter where, you start somewhere and then you just keep moving through. So some of my heroes that I wanted to share with you are Karen de Monbrun. She was the first female president of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association. The Manufacturers Association is 65 years old. So being the first female was an important step in the manufacturing industry because it is very male dominated. I am the second now after 64 years. Arthur Locklack. Arthur Locklack has a phenomenal story that I only learned about a few years ago. Arthur Locklack built his entire empire off of the Bobby chocolate. And the Bobby chocolate machinery is about the size of this office that I am in right now. It's really not a big piece of machinery at all. But it was such an amazing product development, such a small little candy, the size of a 25 cent that revolutionized his whole life. And it was really not just about the quality of the product, but the marketing strategy that went behind it. When Arthur developed this product, he made it just right so that he could price it to be 25 cents. And 2 decades later, it is still 25 cents. And the reason being is that instead of taking 50 cents change, you get 2 bobbies. And that is the selling point behind the bobby that grew ABIL to what it is today. Robert and Debbie Costello are the founders of Lifetime Roofing Limited, my family business. And they are my heroes for not just being my parents, but they grew that business out of half of my baby room. And it's a constant reminder of humility to me about what it takes to start from nothing and grow something over time on the back of hard work and dedication and honesty and integrity. Prime Minister Mia Mottley is recently one of my heroes because I am infatuated with her progressive thinking and high-level policy making that she is setting for Barbados, and the way she is changing politics and simply doing what is right for her country. My last hero is very important. His name is Keaton Saunders. He's 11 years old and he founded a company called Click Anything by Saunders. He is from the Sacred Hearts RC Student School and he started Standard 5 in September. He started selling masks in response to COVID-19 after he did his kids MBA during the summer. And in doing his kids MBA, he learned how to do business plans and strategic plans, how to do financial forecasting, and it helped encourage him in starting his business. He is registered today, legally registered with his business, and he is part of the Trinidad, the TIC, which TTMA is posting. So he has a booth in a virtual platform, and he has had some great business-to-business transactions for his mask. And his message to kids his age is reach for the stars. You can be a child and still be a businessman. So in closing, I want to say, quote Thomas Edison, where he said, most people miss an opportunity because it is dressed in overalls and it looks like work. And it is important to recognize that work is where everybody grows from. It is our success stories. So this last video sums up the whole project that Lifetime did. And I hope that this video leaves the essence of we make products for life. We make a product because it's needed. We make a product because it's in demand and it truly has value. If you look around your room that you're in right now, everything that you are either sitting or touching or looking at was manufactured. Somebody created that product and somebody had a vision for that product at some stage. And I truly hope that you guys have been inspired to consider, what do you want to make in this world? What do you want to leave as this is my invention? Okay, thanks everybody. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you so very much, Franca, for those insights into manufacturing and the advice, particularly about finding a mentor. I think a mentor is really, really important for persons, especially if they want to get into business. I think that's some excellent advice coming from you to our audience. Roger, the students online are excited to hear from you as well. So first off, can you tell us a bit about what your company does and what you do? What is it that this job of a founder and managing director is really about in your company?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone, and it's a pleasure really to be here to share with you this afternoon. To answer the first question, Lazuria Apparel Limited is the best corporate uniform manufacturer in Trinidad and Tobago. We use the latest body measurement, and garment construction technology to create the perfect fit. That is one aspect of our business. We are also the authorized licensee for the Van Heusen brand for the manufacturing, sales, and promotion of men's pants, suits, neckwear, underwear, socks, shoes, and hats, plus women's jackets, pants, skirts, dresses, and suits in the Caribbean. That means, what does that mean? Van Heusen is an international brand. It is owned by PVH, which was formerly called the Philip Van Heusen Corporation. And we have the license to manufacture, distribute, wholesale, and retail these products under that brand, right? So it's called, in some cases, we can contract manufacture the brand and sell it up the Caribbean. In addition to our own brand, which is Lazuri, we also manufacture that brand as well. What do I do? To found really means to start. So when they say I'm the founder of the business, it just means that I started the business, right? And I'm the managing director or CEO of the business. It means that I currently run the business. In a nutshell, my job is to make things happen. So I conceptualized the business. I decided what business we wanted to get into. Then I decided how we're going to go to market. And along the way, I was able to hire good people to take up various functions in the business, things that I cannot do myself to help the business to function. So I have someone who's in accounting. I have people who are doing sales. I have someone who's supervising the manufacturing process. And we have stitchers, we have cutters, we have fashion designers, and all of these people, what we call building a team. I was able to build a team around me to help the business grow. To go back to Franca's presentation, we are in that category called SME. So we are small, medium enterprise, and a fast growing, I would add, small, medium enterprise. And we look forward to the goal, you know, of doubling manufacturing exports over the next 4 years. In fact, we want to triple and quadruple our exports because we still have a long way to go. That answers your
Nice,
question.
excellent. I think it does. I particularly love the advice that came in there for the about growing a business. You know, finding a team that will support you. So you have a vision, you have a plan, and building out a team with the necessary skill sets to support what is needed to run and deliver the business. So some good advice there for the young business persons on our call. Now, Roger, like Franca said in her presentation, COVID has affected businesses. That's not stopping manufacturers. Manufacturers are finding ways to innovate and to pivot and to overcome these challenges and to still be sustainable. How has COVID-19 affected your business? And how were you able, or how are you now pivoting, or how have you been able to pivot to overcome these challenges?
Well, that's a very good question, Lawrence. Well, the first thing that COVID-19 did is that in the period of the lockdown, it eliminated the demand for products. So we sell clothing, right? Government decides because of the pandemic, we're going to lock down the economy. Now people are home. They don't need to buy clothes. So the first thing it affected is our demand, and it affected aggregate demand in the country. The other challenge that we had, which Franca mentioned before, is liquidity, right? Liquidity in the sense that there was a challenge collecting payment from customers, number one, because the customers were not at their offices. So you call for payment, there's nobody there to answer the phone. And if someone happens to be there, they can't pay because their business is also closed and they're also facing challenges. The other challenge is, while that is happening, business still has certain fixed expenses to meet, whether it is rent or mortgage, whether it is staff payments, whether it is payment to suppliers. We have our commitments, and we are facing this liquidity challenge. The other challenge, which is the obvious one, is the risk to well-being. You know, the threat of life, and how do we operate in the pandemic while at the same time keeping ourselves safe, keeping our family safe, and keeping our employees safe. So those were the three challenges that we faced immediately upon the advent of COVID-19. So the first one is demand, the second one is liquidity, the third one is health and safety. So we face those challenges. I think the second question has to do with pivoting, Lawrence.
Yep. So how have you been able to, or how are you looking at pivoting to overcome these challenges?
Okay, so we had a very interesting story where that is concerned. We were operating for about just over 2 years, mostly importing and re-exporting, and importing and retailing, and importing and wholesaling. We manufactured very few of our products, but we started supplying corporate uniforms to businesses, especially male uniforms. And we'd always get asked, when are you going to manufacture female uniforms? When are you going to supply female uniforms? So when we did the research, we realized it was very difficult to supply female uniforms by simply importing and distributing. We had to set up a manufacturing facility. And that is to be able to sell uniforms to like the banks, credit unions, corporate businesses, and all of that. But when you go there and you see the staff is clothing we're selling, you can have someone who's very small right up to someone, who's large, and we have to manufacture clothes to the different body types. So we decided in December to set up a garment manufacturing facility. It took some time. We did the research, we rented the facility, we ordered the machinery, we hired the staff, we did all of that. And this was taking place in January, February, March. And we were planning to open first of April. We started testing the facility around the first, second week of March, and then COVID came. Machines were already bought and installed. Staff was already hired. We were now planning marketing strategy and launch. And then up comes COVID. Economies is about to close down. So we were facing, do we just close and and just ride this thing out? Or what is there that we can do and occupy the facility that is absolutely needed? Fortunately, mask was something that was needed, and disposable mask was in short supply. So we were able to utilize our existing facility, pivot the plant, and we began to manufacture face masks. So after different iterations of the mask, we actually embarked on a project via the TTMA with UE and Kariri, and we actually developed a mask that has a very high filtration rate that can not only be stylish, but also effective in terms of combating the pandemic. And that is what saved us. So to go back to Franca's presentation, the one thing you have to know in business is how to identify demand, but also how to act on that opportunity very quickly. We were able to act on the opportunity. We were able to use the same capacity that we would have used to manufacture uniforms, to manufacture face masks. And to date, we've manufactured, I can say, well over 100,000 face masks and supplied it to various businesses. We've supplied it to the Port Authority, to Lifetime Roofing, to the Bermudas Group, to supermarkets, to various businesses, to Pip Deco. I mean, just too much to mention. And we're still doing that to this day. When a lot of different people began to manufacture masks, so we had, there was a competitive environment, we went into manufacture branded masks. So right now, we still manufacturing a lot of masks. So any company that our salespeople get in contact with, we can manufacture masks with their brand on it. So you get brand. So now a mask really is the largest branding tool there is. It's more popular than t-shirts, polo jerseys, and even social media advertising. And it's on your face. So you can't help but see it, Frank is demonstrating one of the masks that we manufactured for Lifetime. So you'll see on one side Lifetime Roofing, and on the other side you will see proudly TNT. So again, this is a situation where we're able to work with customers, help them to keep their workers safe, while at the same time creating demand for our business that will help us to survive during the COVID period. And whereas we thought that would have been a project that will last, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months to give the economy a chance to stabilize. We realize that this is the new normal. We may be wearing masks for the next year or two, and therefore it's now a sustainable and important part of our manufacturing operation. And so mask is a part of the operation. Now that the economy is semi-open, started by getting demands for uniforms, and right now our factory is busy manufacturing uniforms, and our spare capacity is used up making masks. So we are fully occupied, even though there's a suppression in demand as a result of COVID. So it ties right back into what Frank is saying. Where demand is down in one segment, there's always demand in some other segment. The challenge is, and the opportunity is to find that demand.
Excellent, excellent. I think that's some great insights there. Loving that point about the finding the demand, finding the market, positioning your business and your items well. Finding ways to bring in branding and advertising into what you're doing. I think that is a very interesting point right now in where the world is going, where we have to go, particularly digitally. I want to bring this question, open up this question to both of you and Franca, for our student audience. Now, a lot of the students on the calls are doing little businesses while they're at school. We have hair and nail technicians, we have people selling food and doing snacks, people into retail, so buying and selling items in the school. For those interested in setting up their own businesses, what would you say is needed, or what should they look at doing or pay attention to in order to set up and successfully run a business?
I would always start with a business plan, and a lot of people have really good ideas, or they say, oh, that's something that I could see people would want, or they, just an idea is an idea until you make it a reality. And having a business plan of how you're going to make that a reality, it takes you through a process of answering the right type of questions. What it takes to make that product, what the expenses that go into it, what is your selling point, what is your profit going to be, and then how you're going to get it to the customers, how you're going to market that to the customers. What makes you different to your competitor? Is it your geography? Is it the color options that you have? Is it the testing? Is it a higher standard? Is it that it's a local brand as opposed to an imported brand? And doing a solid business plan allows you to help with that. I also think that having ambassadors of your product are a good way to not only get angel investors, but to also market it, to get the mentorship for you to do reporting too. So if you are starting a project and you say, I need some guidance on it, you select 2 or 3 people that you bounce your ideas off of, then they can give you their perspective as well. They can review your business plan that you have, and then you could ask for some seed capital. But if you believe that this is a good strategy, then would you invest $10,000, $15,000, and this is how I would pay it back, and your business plan would outline that, or 100 or 1 million, depending on what your business model really is.
Right. What I would like to add to that is I applaud anyone who's crazy enough to want to start or run their own business. I think that what happens in the society is that you only get noticed for business when you're already successful.
Yeah.
And therefore, what people see is the trappings of success, the fact that your product is already in the market, the fact that you're already, making money, and your name is in the paper, and you're somebody's mentor and all of that. And that is a long road. That is the result. Anyone who wants to start a business have to think long and hard, and to make sure that this is what you want to sacrifice a lot of things in your life for. Because when Franca spoke about the Bobby, and Lockjack on the Bobby, he had to actually go around and sell that Bobby. And he would have gotten a lot of no's, a lot of what is this little wrong thing in this piece of paper? We can't sell that. So you have to be able to overcome a lot of the initial negatives in pursuit of your objectives. You have to be very sure that this is the life that you want to live, because you're going to be working long hours, 7 days a week for at least 3 to 5 years before you start seeing any level of success in terms of growth of your business. Now, your business is going to grow, but all the money that comes into your hand is either going to be to buy supplies, pay staff, pay rent, or do something else before you begin to hold on to that money and start doing things for yourself. You have to build the business to a point where then the business can start to pay you, and then you could enjoy the lifestyle of that business. So I always tell people that, you know, when you do a business plan and you do a plan, right? Whatever date you think you're going to make profit by is going to take longer, because, you know, Excel is such a nice thing. You know, you're going to put down some numbers, and if the numbers don't look right, you go back into your formula and you change the formula to make the numbers look nice. You know, I always tell persons that, you know, you're going to make profit in 2 years. You know, that may not happen. So what is the plan if it doesn't happen? Do you have that cushion? Do you have someone who you could borrow money from? Do you have, you know, a supplier that will give you credit? You know, and you know, you may have a plan to get into 1,000 stores in 3 months. I can guarantee you that if you have a solid plan to get into 1,000 stores, you will get into 1,000 stores, but it may not take 3 months. It might take 3 years. So, but you have to be able to keep to your goal, consistently work on your goal, and make sure that you're dedicated to it. And once you have that dedication, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, businesses fail because of money. It fails because of lack of dedication, a lack of stick-to-itiveness, a lack of passion for what you're doing to roll through the tough times. And once you have that will and that determination, I believe that anyone could be successful in business. The last thing I want to say is that sometimes the business you start is not where you're going to end up. So you might start selling food, but if we talk to you 10 years down the road, you might own a chain of tire shops. You know, you might start off doing something else. But an entrepreneurial journey sometimes is not a straight line. Not, you know, you may not start off doing roofing supplies. You may have started off doing something else. But when you hit roofing supplies, that is the business that takes over. So you may find that you have a lot of different iterations in the early part of the business, or in the early part of your business career, while you find your feet, while you find your passion, while you find what the demand really is out there, before you really begin to grow and succeed. That is what I want to contribute.
Brilliant. I think we got some good advice there from both Roger and Frank on this topic. Just to draw everyone's attention to the chat, Frank is actually sharing some tips and some answers to some of the questions in the chat while we are going along. She posted a link to lifeplan.com, which is where students could go online and look at how you can create a business plan. Is that right, Franca?
Yeah, so my husband is a vet, and he started up one of his vet clinics about 4 years ago. And that's what I used for creating his business plan. And that's what he uses to this date. Every year he checks back against it. So I just wanted to give you all a tool that, you know, make it easy. I thought it was easy to do it with it. I think it walks you through it pretty well.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now, we only have an hour on today's seminar, but we have a lot of questions coming in. So Frank and Roger, I'm putting you all both on the spot here. And what we will do at Heroes is we will take all these questions and put it together and reach out to you to get some of your insights and inputs into these questions so that we can come up with some answers, and we will coordinate to get this information out to everyone who is attending the session, because there really are some fantastic questions, but unfortunately we will not be able to answer all of them in the time that we have for the webinar. So that's something that we can come.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing some comments in the chat saying that they're not seeing the link, but I don't know. I posted it twice now.
We'll share the link with all the attendees after as well. We'll do an email and get some of these questions answered. We'll link with some information and resources, and we can send that out to everyone so that they have it and they have a nice documented trail to help them as they set up their businesses.
Oh, I know what I did wrong. Okay, sorry, I had this sharing it to panelists only. So now it's all panelists and attendees. I think that should work now.
Nice.
Sorry.
Look at us learning
Yes,
about
yeah.
technology as we go along.
But I saw somebody asked how long it takes to register a business, and I just want to tell them that it costs $50 to register a business, and it takes about 2 months for the approval to come through, although I've heard of some people getting it within 2 weeks. So.
Okay, nice, interesting. This is a bit different question here, but how did you all ever experience failure? If so, what did you all learn from them?
All the time. You only hear about the good stories at all. Well, I guess the media likes the negative stories too, but yes, product development, you fail all the time. You bring something in and you try to see if it'll catch a market, but it just doesn't because the price is too high, or it doesn't work well with the environment because, you know, maybe it just starts to corrode too quickly, or the material maybe is too hot. I don't know. When it comes to choosing product development in manufacturing, it's a real trial and error thing, and yeah, you fail all the time. I mean, even TTMA. Look, we just had some problems with our TIC exhibition booth, and you know, we had some glitches on our platform. We're first to do a virtual TIC, a virtual trade show at Roger in the whole of the Caribbean. Nobody's ever done that before. And we launched it 2 days ago, and it was working great for some people, but 20% of the participants were having trouble navigating through, couldn't get to the booth, some of the links weren't working. So we said, okay, let's bring it back in and retool it, improve it, and then we'll do it again in 2 weeks. And that was really hard. You know, that was a hard decision to make because it means saying that you recognize that your attempt, it didn't work as well as it did. And it's disappointing when you have to call 130 people as well and give them that type of news. But the surprising thing is that people appreciate when you say, this is not as good as I want it to be. I'm going to make it better. And that's the best thing that you can do in business, is just recognize what's not working so great and then put the effort in to make it better. And as long as you're doing that, people will be understanding, appreciative, and they will find you a genuine business person as well.
I think everything that Franca says, I want to endorse it. The only thing I want to say is that the best way to deal with failure is upfront to understand that you are going to fail. Mm-hmm. You're going to fail, guys. Not everything you do will be successful. In fact, most things you do, you know, will be unsuccessful, and you get big successes in certain areas that will overshadow all your failures. So you're going to fail your way to success. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes, you know, is from Winston Churchill, where he says, you know, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So whatever you do, whether you're in school, there will be one subject that you'll not be good at, and you have to work harder to overcome it. You know, in business, you're going to fail at many things, but the failure is going to be personal, it's going to be internal to the business. Some things the customers are going to see. And when that happens, the best thing to do is, as Franca said, own up to the failure or the setback very quickly, own up to it, communicate to who it needs to be communicated to, and commit to improving it. I think it's the ability to overcome the challenges that's going to get you to the next level. Not that there won't be any challenges at all. So that's how I do.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice.
Lawrence, I see Talicia's asking, how do you manage to decide what you want to do for your business? And I love this question because when I came out of university, a lot of our friends were trying to figure out what they were going to do for business. And it's funny because, well, not funny, but I guess it's kind of ironic because I have, to this day, I still have friends who want to get into a different type of business or get out of what they're doing right now. So they're still seeking, asking me questions like, so Franco, what is there a market for? And I guess that's the first thing that you always start with. What is there a market for? And you look around your social circle, the people in your life, and what is it that you have that they want that you can do? So you said you have some folks in here who are doing nails and hair and so on. Obviously, they have a passion for that. Or maybe they have a lot of girl cousins and they're good at it. So they got into that line of business with it. Keaton Saunders, who I spoke about, he got into making masks because I think his mom had a sewing machine. So he had a niche right there. He had a tool in his house that allowed him, and she maybe taught him how to operate that sewing machine. And so he started to fill a demand there as well. So, and sometimes your career choice doesn't seem so obvious as well. I don't look like a roofer, but I love roofing. I love it. I love going up on the roof with the guys. I love putting down the metal sheets. I love being on the factory when they're bending the trims. I love driving a forklift. I think that driving the forklift is the funnest thing that you could do. For some reason, I'm really passionate about windows. I love to go to a window exhibition show. Go figure, who knows? And then I have a friend, a guy, he's a really big guy. He's big into sports and fishing and all of that. And he is a cosmetic supplier for hair products. And he can talk about all the different types of shampoos and conditioners and different products better than any woman I know. He advises me, but he's a big hardback guy. And, so you find what you are good at and what market you have available to you is the best way that I could put it. So.
Perfect. Roger, is there anything you want to add on that particular question? How do you know what business to get into? There's another question. Do you need to go to college or Form 6 to open a business? And I think we've established that you don't. You can start your business in secondary school or primary school once you find that market and find what you can produce.
Yeah.
So,
yes, sir. What was the question again? The question was, how do you know what you want to do? Sometimes you don't, huh?
Yes. How do you decide?
That's a tough one. But what I can say is that sometimes, if you grow up in a business environment, sometimes it's decided for you. Meaning that, your parents may not tell you, I want you to come into the business. This is what I want you to do. But osmosis tends to happen. You grow up with it. That's all they're talking about around the table. Every summer while everybody's doing something else, you find yourself in the office with some summer job there. You go off to university. When you come back and you want to go online with your friends, they find they have a job there waiting for you. So you have to earn your allowance. And then when you finally complete university, you think you have the independence of thought, but that is built into you from a very young age, and you end up into your family's business. I think it also happens that once you're around business, you tend to want to be in business. Doctors' children become doctors and lawyers' children become lawyers. And that's how it happens sometimes. The other thing is that it happens through your society. Up in an area, like my father started business because he liked the taxi man. When he jumped in a taxi, he was just in awe of this guy who has his own taxi, collects his own money, who puts his own money in his pocket, who, if this guy could decide if he wants to wake up 6 o'clock and transport school children, or if he wants to wake up later and transport somebody else. He was in charge of his destiny. He decided, how often he wanted to change his tires, when, to put gas. So he was intrigued by the taxi man and the fact that this guy collected, spent his own money and controlled his own destiny. So he wanted to get into business because he saw the taxi driver. His parent was not in business. So you can have an experience where there's someone in your society. It could be the shopkeeper, it could be the factory down the road, it could be the security company, whatever it is, may inspire you to start a business. Or you may get a bug by just having something and somebody wants to buy it from you. you sell it to them, collect money in your hand, and then you just like that feeling of selling something and collecting money. You know, so it can happen in many different ways. But I think
Roger,
that where is the sustainability.
Roger, your
Yeah, go
story
ahead.
is best though, because you came from a family business. Roger has the best story for this whole cycle because he came from a family business and he was working in it. And then I will never forget it. He showed up at a TTMA meeting and well, he was driving a very different type of car at that point. Now he got a big promotion and he got a big job at ANSA. And Nicholas looked, Jack and I looked at each other and said, oh, you could leave your family business. We didn't realize that you know that was an option, and it really is, and it's important to tell young people that you can be the owner of your own destination. And Roger did it. He went and he worked for ANSA, and he got amazing experience working for ANSA. And then Roger, you left ANSA and you started up your own business. So you went from being in a family-run business to being in a big corporate environment where you hit incredible targets, and I mean, you really excelled there. It was so nice to watch. And then you took another leap of faith, and you opened up your own business, and you did all of that entirely on your own, independently. So, you know, Roger has shown such a diverse background in taking risk and trusting himself and taking that risk on himself as well. So really, I find that you're not telling them. You're not telling them.
I don't tell that story. I don't tell that story enough. But my story is actually a strange one. You know, what Franca just said is very, very strange. You know, when I left my family's business, I got so many calls, you know, from so many, you know, children. When I say children, adults who are involved in their family business want to know how does it happen, how, you know, why did it happen, you know, whatever it is. I mean, I have an excellent relationship with my father and my family. For something that we discussed, and it happened and it worked out. You know, it just worked out for me. But I think that to sustain yourself in business, it's really good to find something you're passionate about, because you're going to spend so much time doing it that, you know, if you're not, you're gonna feel burnt out. It's gonna wear on you. But if you're passionate about it, it doesn't feel like work. You know, and you can do it for long periods and you enjoy it. And it's important to enjoy what you're doing.
So, Lawrence, I wanted to tell the attendees as well that I know that Roger and I probably look old. We do not think that we are old. We think that we are very young. I'll let all of you guys know. But yes, there's a big difference between 16 and 37. I don't know how old Roger is, probably older than me. Leave it at that. But and there's a big gap in there. But I will say that when I was 17, I started working, and that is a norm. That is a norm north of Trinidad for you to start working at 16 and 15 years old, doing summer jobs so that you're starting to discover what it is that you are passionate about. And I worked in Canada because I went to school in Canada, and I did a degree, my university degree. I compressed it into 3 years, and I worked, and then I did a second degree, and I worked, and I did 3 different jobs, so that I could learn what I wanted to do, but more so because I couldn't get a job. And that happens as well. When you come out of university and you're going fresh into the job market, you have no work experience. That is what businesses really want. You have to start from the ground and work your way up. And at that point, people are looking at what is your tenacity? Tenacity being, what is your ability to work hard? And if you can demonstrate that by telling somebody, when I was 16, I worked at this company during the summer. When I was 17, I did this type of volunteer work. But that is going to go a long way in building your resume, to giving you new opportunities as well. So don't be afraid to start at the ground, and start as soon as you can. Do not just waste a whole summer on doing nothing productive. Do an MBA course online, go and get an internship job, volunteer. Do not be afraid to work for nothing. you know, at the TTMA, the directors, this is volunteer time that we do to this age. We are still volunteering our time without being paid to do that. And that is because it gives us good experience and good networking.
Yep, agreed.
On that note, Franca, one of the questions we had come in was about networking. So like, what is networking and how does networking actually work?
Right. Networking means going to something where there are people. So, you know, TIC would have been a really nice way for you to go and meet people physically, and you just walk up to a booth and you start talking to people. The virtual experience still allows you to do that, just in a different way. So you go into a booth and you say, hi, my name is Jenna. I really want to learn about your product. And then you just build that conversation with the person. I mean, sometimes it can be scary to do that. I still get scared about it up to these days. You know, I get into these circles and they have these prominent businessmen and women and politicians and so on, and I just so badly want to talk to them. I am waiting for my opportunity with PM Motley, fingers crossed one day. And you don't miss the opportunities, because 4 years ago, I was in a room with PM Mia Motley, and I was so starstruck, and all I wanted to do was say hello and shake her hand, and I didn't, and I regret that so much today because I wish I did. So don't be afraid to just call somebody, talk to them, tell them that you just want to meet them, have lunch with them, just have a conversation, run an idea by them. People love to be asked their advice. So.
Yeah, perfect. Roger, any last pieces of advice that you have to share with our audience?
I just want to say that the opportunity that you have, it is a unique opportunity to speak to practitioners. Not everyone gets this opportunity, so I hope that, you know, if there's one thing that was said today that resonates with you to make you take action, then I would feel that the session was useful. You know, the most important thing to business people, you know, we say it a lot, is execution. You know, you spend a lot of time learning, spend a lot of time analyzing, spend a lot of time reading and researching. But if you don't put the knowledge and the wisdom gained into action, you would not get any results. All you would have had is a nice session, a nice chat, and a beautiful presentation that Franca gave. But I would like you to take some action. You know, if you want to do business, you know, go online and read about business. If you're selling snacks, go online and search about, you know, what it takes to sell snacks, how to make snacks, that kind of thing. You know, get the knowledge, and then, you know, and once you gain knowledge, you know, learn in practice. You don't have to get all the knowledge before you start to practice. You know, some people feel that, you know, I need to go to university and get all the knowledge. I need to get all the knowledge. When you get a little piece of knowledge, start acting on that knowledge while you're getting more knowledge. And therefore, so what you'll get is experience and knowledge at the same time, and not one or the other. One doesn't have to substitute for the other. And once you understand that and I see some people want to know where to find the kids MBA, go look and search it up. You know, Franca talk about the youth making mass. There's also the 6-year-old farmer that the Prime Minister just visited yesterday. You know, so you have no excuse, you know, not to start where you are, in your own kitchen, in your own living room, in your own garage. You know, my family's business started in our kitchen. So you can start where you are. Apple started in a garage. Microsoft started in a garage. Start where you are. Start small, think big, and scale quickly. That is the advice that I would give.
Perfect. Roger, Franca, thank you so very much for being a part of today's session. Audience, thank you so much for viewing in. We have to jump off now so that the other session has enough time to start. We will take your questions. I already asked Franca and Roger to give some of their time to help you answer these questions. So we will get some answers and get some information back to you. Thank you all so very, very much for today. All the best with the rest of TIC, Franca and Roger. Take care.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, take care.
Love it.
All the best, guys.
All the best. Good luck to everybody.